Okay. So again, welcome. We have Stephen Lieberman with us tonight. He's the director of the director of policy and advocacy for United Spinal Association at the national level. And he's here to talk with us about what it means to be an advocate, what we can do to get involved, how we can get involved on a local, state, national level, and all of that stuff. So Stephen, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I did make you a co-host, so you should be able to share your screen whenever you need to.
Great, thanks, Meg. Good evening, everybody. I'm glad to be here. I've been doing a bit of a tour around the country, talking to various chapters about advocacy in general, our advocacy program, what we're trying to build at United Spinal with our advocacy program, how folks can get involved, and sort of, making advocacy feel more accessible to folks, that it doesn't seem like a big hurdle for folks to get involved, because it really is it really is quite easy to get involved with all the stuff that United Spinal is doing. So I'm glad to be here, and I have a presentation that I'll get into in a second. But first, I want to, as I get into that, I'm going to pop a link in the chat here. So this is the link to our sign up form for our district mobilization program, which United Spinal launched last year. And we're looking to build a grassroots advocacy program all across the country, all 435 congressional districts. And, we're looking for a critical mass of advocates to get involved. And I'm going to get into I just wanted to pop that in the chat. So if folks want to fill that out, and there's actually I have put another link in the chat that explains the program a little bit more. And I also explain it in my presentation. But I wanted to pop that in the chat. So if folks are, as we go through the presentation, if folks want to take the time to fill it out, they can do that. And let's get started then. One second here. Okay. So, what makes an advocate? So there are many different forms and styles of advocacy. At its most basic level, all advocacy is about is asking for something, right? The fundamental goal of advocacy is communicating a need to someone in a position to help who may not otherwise be aware of that need. And you don't have to be loud or well-known or use civil disobedience tactics to be an effective advocate. There are different tools in the advocacy toolbox. So, I think there's let me get to the most effective advocates are consistent but persistent. And the most important thing for an advocate to do is to keep showing up. I think there's sometimes a perception among certain folks in the disability community, of which I am part. I'm autistic. I was one of the few before United Spinal, just to back up a little for a second. Before United Spinal, I spent 10 years on Capitol Hill as a legislative staffer. And, I was one of the few openly disabled legislative staffers on Capitol Hill. I think there's a perception among certain folks in the disability community that advocacy involves what advocacy is, the picture that folks have in their mind is that you got to go get arrested, you got to go protest, you got to go chain yourself to a fence. And that's not all that advocacy is. Advocacy, there are many different forms of advocacy. And, it's, there's different times to do different tactics. And, for most folks that don't want to go that route, you don't have to. And most of what we do at United Spinal does not involve anything of that sort. It's actually very easy, very accessible to get involved. And we'll talk about different methods of advocacy. So direct action. So that's, protesting, et cetera. It's useful for drawing attention and demonstrating ongoing or potential harm. It's less effective at securing positive legislative change. And there's legal advocacy. So there's use of the courts and the legal system to secure rights. And that can secure change large and small, but it can also take a long time. And there's legislative advocacy, which is often necessary, and particularly on issues of funding. And it may take years to build relationships and momentum on the issues that you're trying to push, but it can result in sweeping, lasting change. And the process can be sped up with the right tactics. So it's important to understand that there's different advocacy tools that work best in different situations. If you got a toolbox, you don't, pull out a hammer to, screw in a screw. You don't pull out a wrench to bang in a nail. There's different times for different tactics, different methods of advocacy, and they work best in certain situations. So when it comes to congressional offices, it's so important to show up. Congressional offices are fast-paced environments, and congressional staff will only pay attention to groups who engage their office directly. And they place a lot of importance on hearing from constituents. And I know, because over my 10 years on Capitol Hill, this was the directive, and it's the directive of all congressional offices. You prioritize those requests that come from the people that you represent, your constituents. So I worked in a New Jersey office, and we prioritize those requests that came out of New Jersey. If somebody came to us from Ohio, we weren't going to put as much stock in what they had to say, because that was, that was our job. If I, as a New Jerseyan, were to go to, say, Senator Brown's office, my requests would get less attention than requests from one of you. If congressional offices only hear from United Spinal once a year, they'll see us as a box to check and not think about us the rest of the year. And I saw this all the time. It's what we do with the role on Capitol Hill, which is coming up next month. I mean, it's a wonderful event. We're doing it virtually this year. And, I actually, and we'll see this on the next slide, I actually met with folks from the role many times in my role as a legislative staffer. But, it's important that, we think about making sure that we stay engaged through sending emails and phone calls, and connecting with our members of Congress throughout the year. Because if a congressional office only hears from us at the roll, then we won't be as impactful. If we continue to stay engaged throughout the year and send emails, make phone calls to our members of Congress, then when the roll comes and we show up in this case will be virtually, but usually it's in person. When folks show up in person, having gotten those emails throughout the year, and this is why it's so important to stay engaged throughout the year to demonstrate our commitment. When folks show up at the roll, it becomes that much more impactful. The effect is amplified because those legislative staffers have received those emails throughout the year, and therefore they know United Spinal, they know our issues, and they know that we're engaged and we're committed to our cause. So here's a picture I wanted to share. So that's me on the right. And I dug this out of the United Spinal Archives, I think it was last week. And that's Nick Labassi with United Spinal. And this was from 2017. So, I've been on the other side of the table. Now I'm on Nick's side of the table. So, I know how these things go. Uh, a typical meeting with a congressional office. So it's generally speaking, they're set up weeks or months ahead of time. So the staffer will greet the advocate, and the advocates will make their asks. What are they there to do? What are they there to ask for? And the staffers will respond based on their boss's record and what they can commit to in that moment. So then the advocates will take the responses they get back to their leadership, and the staffers will review the asks and may or may not take action based on several factors. So peeling back the curtain a little bit, how do congressional offices make decisions? There are internal processes that happen with the congressional offices. And folks who have dealt with their members of Congress in the past, it might be a bit frustrating, but there are processes that go on behind the scenes that determine whether or not your member of Congress, your senator, will support what you came there to talk about. So there's what in congressional speak is called running the traps. So they examine, the data surrounding the issue, the impact to their state or district, depending on whether they're a senator or a member of the House of Representatives, and who supports or opposes that issue. So if are there any potential landmines out there if they take a stand on the issue from somebody who's on the other side. So then there's an internal approval process that goes on, and there are several factors that are considered. What is the member's history on the issue? So has that representative or senator taken a stance on something similar in the past or the same issue? Have there been in-person or now virtual meetings asking for support? Again, this is why the role is so important for United Spinal. Those groups that come in and actually take the time to meet with staff are given so much more weight in terms of whether or not that office will support a certain issue or take a stand on a certain issue, because it helps them cut through all the different requests that come in on various issues. It's just, the folks that actually take the time to come in and talk to the staff are, put, much higher on the list. Has the office received emails and phone calls on the issue from back home, and how many? And what's the ratio of support versus opposed from constituents? So going back to my time on Capitol Hill, for example, there was an issue back in 2019 where there was a bill that was supported by folks in the disability community that they were trying to get a lot of different members of Congress to co-sponsor. And so I took it upon myself to try and get my boss to co-sponsor the bill. And I went through the whole process and put together a memo for the folks that were above me in the office, legislative director. And, I laid out, everything, what the bill did, who was affected, et cetera, all the data I could get. Then I ran into a problem, which was there weren't too many people from the state of New Jersey who had written in support of the bill. In fact, there'd been probably about a dozen folks who had written in support and over 60 who'd written in against. And so I actually took it upon myself to call a SIL back in New Jersey, Center for Independent Living, and say, hey, I need you guys to get on this and start sending some emails and making some phone calls in support of this bill, because I can't justify to the senator that we get on the bill if we have this lopsided ratio against the bill in terms of folks we've actually heard from back home. So over the course of a couple weeks, there were emails and phone calls by the dozens that came in from New Jersey. The tide turned, the support ratio flipped, and the senator managed to co-sponsor the bill. So it's just so important for folks to, take the time to make those emails and make those phone calls, because they do actually make a difference. And then, of course, the last part here, what does the data show about how constituents are affected? Which is very, very important, because congressional offices live on data. They also live on stories as well. So what makes an effective advocate? Case studies on effective advocates. So in my time on Capitol Hill, this is what I determined. The best advocates are pesky without being rude. In-person or now virtual meetings with staffers are essential. Understand it's both up to you to convince the staffer and up to the staffer to convince their bosses. Work with them. A congressional staffer has two main goals. They want to make their boss look good, and they want to make themselves look good. So if you bring them an issue that will make their boss look good, and by association make them look good for supporting it, then they will be compelled to work with you to put forward your idea and run it up the chain for support in that office. So following up with the staffer after the meeting is very important. And if possible, demonstrate strength by getting constituents to email or make phone calls. Again, this is the basic building block of legislative advocacy, emails and phone calls. They are incredibly important in terms of, congressional offices look at those, they gauge support from back home based on those. And again, this is what we're looking to build with United Spinal, getting as many folks as we can get to make those emails and phone calls. Know your deadlines if applicable. So for example, during appropriation season, which we are in right now in the United States Senate, if you have deadlines for congressional offices to make requests in terms of appropriations, for example, or if there's a letter that's has a deadline for folks to sign, make sure you know those, and know when to pull back. Don't burn your bridges. There was the example I like to give here is there was an individual who was advocating on behalf of a bill regarding ectodermal dysplasia. And she became increasingly aggressive with making phone calls to the office that I was working in, to the point where she went over the line and was very rude to the young staffer who worked at the front desk. And at that point, we had to tell her, sorry, because of the way you treated our colleague, we're not going to support this bill. We're just not going to do it because he went over the line. So be sure to be pesky, be engaged, but make sure to also stay courteous as well. So taking all this and applying this for what United Spinal wants to do. United Spinal needs a critical mass of consistent, engaged advocates in every congressional district around the country. We need constituent ambassadors who can provide the disability perspective for congressional offices if they have questions. And by applying consistent pressure and by cultivating relationships with congressional offices, we gain more allies on Capitol Hill and achieve better outcomes. So what are we doing? We want to build our grassroots network through our district mobilization program. We want advocates who can commit to sending in United Spinal's action alerts to their members of Congress. This is really the main thing we're asking folks to do. It is very easy. We, we send out action alerts to our email list. It takes, all of a minute to click on the link, make sure that your name, your address are entered in right, and then click send message. It's very easy. Only takes a minute out of your day. If folks want to share our action alerts on social media with your friends, your family, with colleagues, with your networks. That's great. We're not, holding anyone to that, but it's certainly great if you do that. It helps amplify our message. And our initial goals are at least one grassroots advocate in every district and 5 advocates per district. So, in terms of building it a critical mass, I think if we can get at least 5 advocates in every district who are sending in these emails to their members of Congress, then we'll really be able to make a real difference. And eventually we want to take this model and scale it down for state level advocacy as well. I mean, it's the same principle. If we have advocates in every single district at the state level, like we will have at the national level as we build this up, then we can really make a difference at the state level as well, to make sure that every elected official hears what we have to say and, engages with us and considers our community's needs and priorities. So right now, we currently have 526 registered advocates in 271 congressional districts across 47 states. And I'm going to, and before I get to the map, we are currently running our, the Advocacy and Policy Department, our 75th anniversary challenges. So we have our advocacy challenge, which is intended to increase engagement, register more advocates, and build our movement. So we have prizes for chapters. The chapter that registers the most advocates through our district mobilization program, through the form I put in the chat, will win a significant monetary prize. And the chapter that sends in the most action alerts within their chapter area will also win a significant monetary prize. We also have prizes for individual advocates. So everybody that registers as an advocate will be entered at the end of the year for a chance to win a significant monetary prize. And the advocate who sends the most action alerts throughout the course of the year will also win a significant monetary prize. We're also running our recognition challenge, as this is our 75th anniversary. We are at the federal level working towards passing a congressional resolution recognizing United Spinal on our 75th anniversary, which we are making good progress on in the Senate. And at the state level, we're looking for chapters to get involved at the state and local level as well. We've already had in 5 states, Pennsylvania, Georgia, New Jersey, Tennessee, what's the 5th one? It'll come back to me. Oh, in New York as well. In 5 states, we've already had resolutions or proclamations passed at the state level, and we're looking for chapters or advocates who get their state legislatures or their governors to pass a resolution or issue a proclamation for United Spinal's 75th anniversary. Will be entered to win a significant prize, as well as at the local level from your mayor or city council. And so here's our current map. And you can see Ohio right here. And this is why I really wanted to reach out to your chapter tonight. We really could use some more advocates in Northeast Ohio because we don't really have many right now. We have one person I know in Congresswoman Capter's district who is from Northeast Ohio, and one person in Congressman Gonzalez's district. But other than that, we don't have many people in Northeast Ohio. And in fact, the whole state of Ohio, we could use a lot more advocates. It's actually a big priority for United Spinal nationally right now to get more folks in Ohio signed up. It's one of our top priorities as we look at this map. And so if we look at the map of Ohio here, you can see zoomed in here, when I'm talking about, we have one person in this district, one person in what's called the Snake on the Lake district right here. And then we have some folks in other parts of Ohio, but we're really looking for a lot more. We only have 8 advocates in the whole state of Ohio who've signed up out of 526 nationally. So, and that's in 7 out of 16 congressional districts. So really need your help. Happy to answer any questions about our advocacy program. Looking for as many folks as we can get to get involved. We're really the only qualification you need to have to sign up for our advocacy program is that you care about our issues. We don't have any other requirements. You don't have to have an SCI or a neurological disease. You as long as you care about our issues and you're going to send in our action alerts, we're happy to have all folks as advocates. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And if folks have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Anybody have any questions?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, how are you? Hey, Megan. How are you? All right, yourself. My name is Gregory Johnson, and I'll be contacting you when this meeting is over with. Digging deeper, I want to become an advocate from the city of Cleveland, Ohio. I don't know what happened. How you doing? Hello.
Hello. Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, I'm okay. I thought you heard me when I was talking. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was just my name is Gregory Johnson. I'm calling from Cleveland, Ohio. Well, I'm down there from Cleveland, Ohio. And when this meeting is over, I'll be reaching out to you. I wanted to sign up, talk to you.
Great.
Furthermore, let me know what I got to do to get done. Thanks for everything too, man. Thanks for sharing. Most important, I appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. If you follow, and I'll put the link in the chat again, and I'll put my email in the chat as well. But if you so here's the link to the sign up form. I just put it in the chat again.
I got it. Grassroots.
It's pretty simple. You fill that out. That's all you need to do to sign up. Once you sign up, you will. I check this list and update it diligently. Everybody that signs up gets all of our action alert emails that go out. We have been doing a number of action alerts over the past month and a half. A big one that we're running right now is increased funding for STI model systems, which, Metro Health is one of them. We want to make sure we're giving increased funding and increasing the number of model systems that receive funding. Since 2000, the number of model systems that receive funding has gone down. It used to be 18, it's now 14. And the actual amount of funding hasn't changed at all since 2006, which is, if you think about it, it's stunning. It hasn't changed in 15 years.
Yeah, that's good.
Even as the population of folks with spinal cord injuries has gone up by 50% since 2000. And it's not taking into account inflation either. So, we've been, we worked with Congresswoman Lucy McBath from Georgia to lead a letter in support of increased funding. for SCI model systems. And, we're pushing that real hard because it's, it's long past time that the model system got an increase in funding. I mean, we've heard over and over again, how, stretched budgets are, how, folks that, I mean, they've reduced capacity compared to years past because there hasn't been an increase in funding. So, we're working really hard on that.
Okay. Whatever I can do to help, man, I'm here.
All right.
I've never been in one of these Zoom meetings. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, hey,
It's all right. Hey, and you know what? I'm gonna put my email in the chat.
yeah, I need that right
If anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm happy to talk to anybody who wants to reach out. And if anybody else has any questions,
Thank you, Steve.
yep.
Yes.
Jill,
Steve,
you need to take your off mute if you want to talk.
Hello.
hey, Steve, this is Mark.
Hey, Mark.
This is going to be stupid. The zip +4.
Oh, don't worry about it. Just enter all zeros.
Thank you.
I don't need it.
Are there any other questions?
Jill, did you put your hand up?
You'll need to unmute, Jill.
You need to unmute.
Unmute me.
Why we're getting
Anyhow, you can see Bernie's back of me. I don't know what to do about that noise.
I don't know.
Oh. Okay. Have we thought of, I don't know if you want to hear me.
Are you logged in twice?
Yeah.
Huh?
Are you logged in twice?
I think so.
Cancel one of them because the feedback is.
Yeah. Well, I wrote you 2 questions already. I wrote you a question about books, and I also wrote you a question about some of my ties in New York State, where I've been living most of my life. Like, I still have a connection with humor. Not with film.
Jill, we can't understand with your link. So you're going to have to log out of one so that we can understand you.
Now, what do I have to do? What do I have to do?
I don't know what you've done. So
Are you logged in with your phone and your computer, or just your
No,
computer?
just my computer.
Then you have 2 instances of Zoom running, probably.
What? Well,
Now you don't.
okay. Am I okay now?
Now you're okay. Yes.
Okay. 2 things. I still have a lot of comrades in New York. Some of them, Schumer, for instance, and some grassroots organizations. In addition to which, the Grey Panthers I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Oh, I'm familiar with the Gray Panthers because Senator Ron Wyden, who used to lead the Oregon Gray Panthers, talks about them all the time.
Yep. Anyhow, we're still there. We're still doing our thing. Even though I'm here. Is there, and many of the issues that the disabled community is struggling with, so is the aging community. And I would recommend also enlisting my folks in New York. How should I do that?
Yeah, if you want to send them the sign up link that I put in the chat. There's also for folks who want a bit of a deeper explanation. I mean, it's pretty simple, but it's a little bit more of an explanation. Here's another link to it's paint the map orange. It lists out basically what we're asking for. Which is when we send out action alert emails, take a minute to click on the link. If you feel comfortable, sharing it on social media, it's fine, but you don't have to. And on occasion, United Spinal might reach out to you if we have a meeting scheduled with your representative or senator, but it's entirely up to you if you want to participate. And that's it. Of course, we welcome all folks who want to get involved. The only requirement that, for folks to participate is that they care about these issues, that it matters to them. And we want folks, all over the country, regardless of where you are. So, it's impactful everywhere.
Okay, can I just say one more thing? On May 20th, I'll send the announcement to Megan, but the Panthers are having it's a Zoom commemorative for all the older people who died in nursing homes and their families, and it's on Zoom. I'll send it, and if anybody wants to join us, we'd love it. I don't know if you heard that. But.
Yes. Great.
And the other thing is, one of our members of the Spinal Cord, Northeast Ohio, has just written a book, John Chartier, and I think we should thank him. And also, publishing books is really a good way to talk about many issues. So, I've published a couple, and it's been very helpful to the population I was talking about. So that's it.
I saw your thing about John in the chat. That's awesome. I didn't know it came out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is. I can't wait to see him and hug him and read the book.
So if anybody was at the 2019, so almost 2 years ago, Metro Health Spinal Cord Injury Forum that's held in September every year. If anybody was at the 2019 one, it was the last in-person forum that we had. John was our keynote speaker for that year. And he's been to meetings in person and things like that. So that's awesome.
And he's got a great family, and we just stuck by him. So I'm proud of the dude.
Awesome. Any other questions for Steve before we wrap up?
Can we get that email address one more time?
Sure. It's S. Lieberman, Lieberman @unitedspinal.org.
Okay, got it.
And Quincy has his hand up.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I have a question. So I live in Columbus, Ohio, and I was wondering, do you have any advocates here in Columbus, Ohio?
So I actually just took the time. I saw that you filled out the form. We did not have any advocates in your district prior to you filling that out in Congresswoman Beatty's district. There is somebody else in Columbus, but they're not in your district. They're in another district. So thank you very much for filling that out. You just filled in another district orange. We want to paint that map orange all across the country. So thank you very much.
Oh no, thank you, because I'm still new to the spinal cord injury. I got shot in 2019 while I was working, and I want to, do my part in let's be emerged in the community.
Great. And we may actually, we're actually looking to reach out to Congresswoman Beatty this week, actually. So we may actually be reaching out to you maybe as soon as tomorrow on some outreach that we're doing to Congresswoman Beatty on something that's really important for United Spinal.
Okay, I'm all up for it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for presenting tonight. I think advocacy is kind of a new thing for us in general. I've been a part of the role on Capitol Hill for many years. I was actually part of the very first one that occurred. It was pretty awesome. And I'm doing the virtual role this year. Super excited. They do make their action alerts very easy. They send you the script. All you have to do is just click the button, make a few tweaks, and hit send. So let's paint Ohio orange, and then I can rub it in my Pittsburgh friends' faces that I can do it too. No, it's all in fun there. It's all in fun there.
Pennsylvania run all over you. Pennsylvania filled in the whole state orange. They've got advocates in every district, so you guys gotta fight that.
Yeah, but if anybody has any questions, Stephen left his email in the chat, or you can reach out to me, to the chapter. We will get you the answers when we know them, or point you in the direction of who knows them. So again, thank you, Stephen, for presenting. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I see a lot of new names and see new faces that haven't been on a meeting before. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope to see you guys again. Next month, Tim Mackey is going to host our social hour, What Works, doing a disability wheelchair life hack theme. So get your questions ready, get your hacks ready. It's going to be a bouncing one thing off another type of meeting.
Megan?
We hope to see you in June.
Megan?
Yes.
Can you give me Steve Mackey's connection, because I want to see him. I want to ask him about a book called What a Body Can Do, and I think it would be useful for him to take a look at that.
For Tim?
Is he there?
Tim's on the call, yeah.
Okay.
Tim, do you mind if I give your information to Jill? Okay, he gave me a thumbs up, so I'll get.
Okay, good, because it's about universal design.
Awesome. Yes, I will email that to you.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So thanks again, everybody, for coming. I hope you have a great rest of your night. If you guys need anything, our email is always open. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. If you need any of the links that I put earlier in the chat, let us know. Otherwise, we'll see each other on social media and next month. Have a great month, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.